Hello and welcome to this video presentation on burnout prevention. My name is Inga Smith and I am a student registered counsellor, and I'm very grateful to have you here and that you are investing in your well-being. The topics of discussion we will delve into today is looking at the definition of burnout as well as how it looks, so the warning signs thereof. We will have a closer look at stress versus burnout, how to identify what you are experiencing. Then we'll have a look at the causes of burnout, and obviously the most important part, how to prevent and deal with burnout. After which I linked a few extra resources that you can have a look at if you have some extra time. Alright, so why the topic of burnout? As teachers, you are very well aware of the emotional and physical toll that teaching can take on you. It is a hard profession to be in. It is something that doesn't necessarily stay within the parameters of the school building. A lot of the times work is taken home, and work meaning physically and emotionally. A lot of times we find ourselves thinking about our students, about their family households, about their marks and their well-being. And it's hard to find ourselves in the middle of all of that and to give ourselves the space to really relax and shut off. A study done in 2015 in the Western Cape identified that up to 40%, or actually 41% of participants in the study said that they experienced continuous or mostly continuous levels of burnout, and that was heightened during exam times, assessments and grading, at the end of the term, at the end of the week. So it's a trend that has been well established in research. Internationally, a survey was also done in the beginning of the year with over 21,000 participants, and up to 65% of them mentioned that they were experiencing symptoms of burnout. So I think that this is really a relevant topic for teachers especially, and especially now during the COVID pandemic and all the extra challenges that have been placed on you. So I really hope that you gain a lot from this workshop or this video, and that you will be able to practice some of the things that we learn. Okay, so before we get into the what and the why and the how, I would love to ask you a few questions. These questions are taken out of a burnout self-assessment to kind of rate where you are currently at in terms of your levels of stress and your coping at the moment. So these questions are based on a rating scale of rating it either not at all, rarely, sometimes, often, or very often. You can pause the video here and answer these few questions for yourself and see where you are kind of at this moment. If you are feeling run down and drained very often, if you are having negative thoughts about your job often, and so forth. Okay, so let's get started. What is burnout? So burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. So as the stress continues, you begin to lose the interest and the motivation that led you to take on that certain task in the first place. Burnout reduces productivity and it drains energy, and it leaves us feeling increasingly helpless or hopeless and even cynical or resentful. Eventually, we may feel like we have nothing more to give. The negative effects of burnout spill over into our everyday lives as well. So this includes our home and our social lives. It can also cause long-term changes to our body that makes us vulnerable to illnesses like colds and flu. Because it has so many consequences, it is really important that we take a closer look at it and see what we can do about it and how to deal with burnout. Are you on the road to burnout? All right, some more questions. putting you in the student's position now. You may be on the road to burnout if every day is a bad day, if caring about your work or home life seems like a waste of energy, if you're exhausted all the time, if the majority of your day is spent on tasks you find mind-numbing or dull or overwhelming, or you feel like nothing you do really makes a difference or is appreciated. Am I burned out? So the signs and symptoms of burnout. So I broke them up for us in various categories that you can have a closer look at. So most of us have days when we feel helpless, overloaded or unappreciated. When it's kind of even hard to get ourselves out of the bed, especially now in the colder weather. If you feel like this most of the time, however, you may be burned out. Burnout is a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight, but it can creep up on us. The signs and symptoms are subtle at first, but they become worse as time goes on. So think of the early symptoms as red flags that that something is wrong that needs to be addressed. If you pay attention and actively reduce your stress, you can prevent a major burnout or major breakdown. If you ignore them, you will eventually burn out. So here are the symptoms and signs that you can look out for. A sense of failure and self-doubt, feeling helpless, trapped and defeated, detached, feeling alone in the world, loss of motivation, increasingly cynical and negative outlook on life, and then decreased satisfaction and sense of accomplishment. So these are the emotional signs and symptoms of burnout. Then the physical signs is feeling tired and drained most of the time, lowered immunity, frequent illness, frequent headaches or muscle pain, changes in appetite or sleep habits. Then the behavioral signs and symptoms you can look out for is withdrawing from responsibilities, isolating yourself from others, procrastinating or taking longer to get things done, using food, drugs or alcohol to cope, taking out your frustrations on others, and skipping work or becoming late and leaving early. Okay, so an important part to look at is to differentiate between stress and burnout, because I think that we can often confuse burnout for stress and vice versa, but I think more often we tend to kind of downplay that we might be experiencing burnout and confuse it with the symptomology of stress. So burnout may be the result of unrelenting stress, but it isn't the same as too much stress. So stress by large involves too much. So too many pressures that demand too much of your physical and mental capacity. However, stressed people can still imagine that they can just get everything under control, they will feel better. On the other hand, burnout is the sensation of not enough. So being burned out means feeling empty and mentally exhausted, devoid of emotion or motivation, and beyond the point of caring. So people experiencing burnout often don't see any hope of positive change in their situation. Unlike stress, that usually you feel that life will become more manageable if I just get everything under control. So if excessive stress feels like you're drowning in responsibilities, burnout is a sense of being all dried up. And while you're usually aware of being under a lot of stress, we don't always notice burnout when it happens. Then you can have a look here, just opposing stress and burnout characteristics. So stress is overengagement, emotions are overactive, it produces this urgency and hyperactivity, loss of energy, it leads to anxiety disorders, it primarily damages us physically or our physical bodies, and it may kill us prematurely, which is a hard pill to swallow, but unfortunately research has shown this to be true over and over again. Then burnout is characterized by disengagement. Your emotions are blunted, meaning that there's almost no emotional affect. So you're almost on this neutral, one-leveled line of expressing emotion or feeling emotion, or the lack of feeling any emotion. It produces helplessness and hopelessness. It includes a loss of motivation, ideas, and hope. It leads to detachment and depression. The primary damage is emotional, and it may make life seem not worthy of living. Okay, so what are the causes of burnout? Now that we have looked at the symptoms of burnout, how to recognize burnout, as well as the difference between stress and burnout, it's important to look at the things that cause burnout, that we can be mindful of these things and engage in them less. So burnout often stems from our jobs, but anyone who feels overworked and undervalued is at risk for burnout. Burnout is not caused solely by stressful work or too many responsibilities. Other factors can also contribute to burnout, which include our lifestyle and our personality traits. In fact, what you do in your downtime and how you look at the world can also play a big part in causing overwhelming stress that may lead to burnout. Okay, so work-related causes of burnout: feeling like you have little or no control over your work, lack of recognition or reward for good work, unclear or overly demanding job expectations, doing work that's monotonous or unchallenging, working in chaotic or high-pressure environments. Then the lifestyle causes of burnout is working too much without enough time for socializing or relaxing. In our society, this is something that happens so often. It's almost as if the hustle and the busyness is correlated with a sense of higher self-worth, that you are only good and productive and a hard worker if you are constantly on the hustle, and that you are not allowed to socialize or take time to just relax and be. Lack of close, supportive relationships, taking on too many responsibilities without enough help from others. So this kind of draws into our inability to say no and wanting to control and manage everything. And then not getting enough sleep. We all know how important sleep is for our mental health and our physical health. Then personality traits. So certain personality traits or personality characteristics can also be causes of burnout. So those with perfectionistic tendencies, that kind of nothing is ever good enough, that I think a lot of us experience, that working to the nth degree just to make sure that every smallest, tiniest detail is perfect, that can definitely lead to burnout. A pessimistic view of yourself or of the world, the need to be in control or reluctant to delegate to others, and then the high achieving type A personalities. So those are the personality traits that people with burnout usually have in common, or people that reach the level of burnouts have in common. All right, now the most important part: how to deal with and prevent burnout. So whether you recognize the warning signs of impeding or impending burnout, or you already feel that you are past the point of burnout and that you are trying to push through the exhaustion and continuing as you have been, will only cause further emotional and physical damage. And now is the time to just pause and change direction by learning how you can help yourself overcome burnout and feel healthy and positive again. So that is where we end up with the 3R approach to dealing with burnout. Firstly, it is recognize. So watch for the warning signs of burnout. Mindful living will help in this instance, being connected to your own emotions, with your own body, with your mental capacity. So those symptoms that we spoke about earlier, having them kind of there at the back of your mind and being aware if you are recognizing these symptoms within yourself. Then reverse. So undo the damage by seeking support and managing stress. So we all have learned now that stress or prolonged stress can lead to burnout, where you reach that point where you are completely kind of numb, where nothing matters anymore point. But to reverse it means that we are engaging then in activities which refuels us. So that is making time to relax, socializing, engaging in hobbies and activities that actually bring you joy and excitement. That is not work related. And we will look at another few examples in the session or the section to come. And then the last one is resilience. So build your resilience to stress by taking care of your physical and emotional health. As South Africans, we often speak about how resilient we are, and I definitely think that that is a fact. And kind of to bring in that resilience in terms of your own emotional and physical well-being, to feed your body healthily or feed your body healthy foods, to exercise and to listen to the needs of your body, as well as your emotional health, sharing what is happening with you and in your world, and not necessarily keeping everything to yourself. All right, so the following tips that we are going to look at kind of break up the recognize, reverse, and resilience up into tips. So let's get straight into it. So the tips for preventing or dealing with burnout. So tip 1 is turn to other people. So when we're burned out, our problems obviously seem huge and everything looks bleak. And it's difficult for us to muster then the energy to care, let alone take action to help ourselves. But we have a lot more control over stress than we might think we have. There are positive steps we can take to deal with our overwhelming stress and get our life back into balance. So one of the most effective tools that you can use is to reach out to other people. Social contact is nature's antidote to stress, and talking face to face with a good listener, or even on the telephone or over a Zoom chat or a Google Meets chat, is one of the fastest ways for us to calm our nervous systems and relieve stress. So the people we talk to, they don't necessarily have to be able to fix your stresses. They just have to be good listeners. So somebody would really be attentive without becoming distractive or judgmental. So reaching out to those closest to you, such as your partner, your family, and your friends, and opening up to what is happening inside of you. Just, how we kind of express that in Afrikaans, we say afbak. Just that place where you can just kind of put down some of the baggage, lighten the load, and just share in the communal space and time. What can also be useful in terms of turning to other people is being more sociable with your co-workers at work. Maybe instead of being on your phone or quickly doing a few extra marking in break time, that you socialize during the break. Then negative people can obviously be very much draining on us. So to limit your contact with negative people. People who do nothing but complain usually drag down our moods and our outlooks. So if there are any of these people in your work environment or your social groups, try to limit the amount of time you spend together. Then connect with a cause or community group that is personally meaningful to you. So this can be like joining a religious, a social, or a support group, which gives you a place to talk to like-minded people about your daily life and engaging in things that you actually enjoy as well. Then the power of giving. So it's always that saying that it's greater to give than to receive, which I think is very true. So being helpful to others gives us immense pleasure and can help to significantly reduce the stress, and it can also broaden our social circles. To always remember that there's a great power in giving and serving, but that you do not do it because of feelings of guilt or feelings of obligation, because then it can lead to burnout and that resentment again. Then tip number 2 is reframing the way you look at work. So you can try to find some value in your work, essentially. So even if you have been a teacher for a long time and it's kind of just go with or your second instinct or second nature, but to really focus on the aspects of the job that you enjoy. And even just talking with your co-workers at lunch about the things that you found enjoyable in the previous few periods, or the things that made you laugh about the students, rather than talking about the negative parents and the overbearing parents, or whatever the case may be. But to kind of switch that mindset, changing your attitude towards your job, which can really kind of help you regain that sense of purpose. Why is it that I started working as a teacher? Getting back to that, I want to say, youthful, enthusiastic mindset, because that is something that is in our control. We have the ability to reflect on why it is that I started teaching in the first place, especially when all the negative pressures from outside comes in, and it's the Western Cape Educational Department on your necks, and assessments to be graded, and meetings to be had, and extracurricular sports to teach, to really think about why it is that you started this job, and what is it that you enjoy about your job. It's also important to have a balance in your life. So a lot of times we kind of establish our identity in the jobs that we do. So when we are feeling drained at work or experiencing burnout in terms of our work, then it's directly affects us as individuals as well. So it's really important to look for meaning and satisfaction elsewhere in your life as well, and not just in your job. So this can be with your family and your friends and hobbies, or volunteer work that touches again on its service. So to focus on parts of your life that bring you joy, that is outside of your work. And then to make friends at work. So this is obviously a great buffer to help reduce the effects of burnout. So having friends to chat to and joke around with during the day can help to relieve the stress from the demanding job, which we obviously know teaching is, and to help to improve your performance, and sometimes just get through a rough day, which we have most definitely been experiencing a lot of. Nurturing and establishing friendship relationships within the workplace. Then reevaluate your priorities. So burnout is an undesirable sign that something important in your life is not working. So take time to think about your hopes, your goals, your values, and your dreams. Are you neglecting something that is truly important to you? This can be an opportunity to rediscover what really makes you happy and to slow down and give yourself time to rest, reflect, and heal. A part of this is setting healthy boundaries. So to not overextend yourself, learn how to say no to requests. If you find this difficult, which I know a lot of us do, to remind yourself that saying no allows you to say yes to the commitments that you really want to make. And then to take daily breaks from technology. So setting aside time each day where you completely disconnect. So you put away your laptop, your cell phone, you stop checking your emails and your social media, and you just give yourself that time to be present in your body. Nourishing your creative side, that's another one that can really help. Creativity is a very powerful antidote to burnout. Trying something new, doing a fun project, or catching up on a hobby you haven't explored in a while can help relieve the stress that leads to burnout, or even recuperate you, reversing the effects of burnout whilst you are experiencing it. Then set aside time to relax, to enjoy relaxing activities such as meditation and deep breathing and yoga, or allowing your body to go into a restful state. That in itself sounds so easy, but we very well know that it's not, because our minds tend to travel all over the show as soon as we get silent, or as soon as we take time to just be present. So practicing mindfulness and meditative practices and deep breathing, we are helping our bodies to go into the parasympathetic functioning, and out of that sympathetic rush of fight, flight, or freeze. And that's really important, that when we relax, that we actually truly relax, and that we allow our brains to, for a moment, relax with our bodies. Then to get plenty of sleep. No further elaboration needed on that one. Alright, then tip 4 and 5 is about your physical health. So make time to exercise, and to support your mood and energy levels, you can set yourself up for success with a healthy diet. We all know that we are 3-in-1 beings. We are body, mind, and soul. So we cannot leave our bodies out of the equation of our well-being, and fighting the effects of stress and burnout. Exercise releases endorphins, like most of you know, and it also gives you the chance to connect with your body, to feel your feet while you're running, to feel the air on your skin as you're doing your exercise, to feel the strength in your body as you're exercising. And then in terms of a healthy diet, minimizing sugar and refined carbs is one of the main, antidotes, one of the main tips in terms of establishing a healthy diet. Because of the high sugar levels, they give us the high, and then we have that crashing low again. So it means that our mood and our levels of energy are constantly going up and down, which puts us on this roller coaster, which we obviously know is not great for our well-being. And then also omega-3 fatty acids can be an immune booster and a mood booster. And then obviously avoiding nicotine and drinking in moderation. I do not think that I need to elaborate on that one too much. We are all very much aware thereof. All right, so the final tips then, kind of summarizing what we went through, is to set healthy boundaries, saying no, delegating tasks, reminding yourself on why you became a teacher, checking your gratitudes or practicing gratitudes, waking up in the morning and writing down 3 things that you are grateful for, or when you get to school and you already feel your blood pressure rising, that you practice gratitude. What am I grateful for at this very moment? I am healthy, I have a job and a stable income, and I can give school in a safe environment, whatever the case may be. To listen to your body and maintain good health, to live mindfully and not rushed. This sounds so easy, I know, but it is challenging to actually slow down your pace. This is in essence what it means. To slow down your body and put it into that rest mode, the parasympathetic mode. This helps with your cognition as well and your ability to focus. Then time management, we know what that is. Breaking down your responsibilities so they don't become overwhelming and you step into the space of total lack of motivation or by procrastinating. And then respecting your personal needs. This is so important, and this is something that we struggle with. I actually read an article this week about how women struggle to express their needs without trying to justify why they need something. So instead of just saying, I just really need 30 minutes by myself, I feel tired and irritated and I need to just do a deep breathing exercise. We would go the kind of long way around the non-directive way and say things like, I've done the dishes, I have fed the kids, I've made the food for dinner, I have done the laundry, and I have carpooled everyone everywhere. Why can't I just sit at the television and watch on television? And how we kind of then can just switch that sentence and explicitly say, this is what I need, and this is the reason why I need it. And then setting reasonable goals, as well as going dark or going offline, to recoup and spend some time with yourself and your loved ones. Thank you so much for listening to this video. That is it. I am very grateful that you invested this time in your well-being. I have put up some resources here that you can go and check out. They are Burnout Self-Tests that you can kind of have a look at and see where you are currently at. And if you are heading to burnout, or if you are already at burnout, that you can put these practices into place that we've learned about. Thank you so much.